recorded, and I stop the transcript. Okay, good. Now what I'm going to do is I just open the forum for the discussion on privatization. So many of you know about what is privatization, and it has becoming a serious effect in the economy. In the recent budget that was delivered 2 days back, you can understand many aspects of privatization. There are many things going on in privatization, and even in our IRTC, the Indian Railway System is also going to be privatized very soon. For that, the 2020 a call for was given. The initiative was taken in 2019 and a call for was given in 2020 as well. So the process is underway. Like that, there are many department, many government, there is a public sector units is going to be privatized. So in this forum, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss about the benefits of privatization. So whoever is interested to talk on the topic of privatization, yes, you can talk on it. And first, I want you to talk on the pros of privatization. And if you have any case study that you have taken for this, yes, you can come with that and give examples. And if you are really affected with any of the privatization mechanisms, yes, you can describe that as well. So now I open the forum for all to talk on that. For who is willing to talk on the benefits or advantages of using privatization, yes, you can talk now. Now it is open. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am. You can share. Please continue.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I want to talk about the advantages of the privatizations. And basically, I want to focus on one of the topic that is related to why there is a privatization in banks, especially. This causes the main problem where especially you told na, the economy of our India is now suffering and all. So just I want to add a few points upon that. So in the last previous year, we can say, yeah, just 1 year going to happen only. In the February month itself only, many like the government told that we need to merge two public sector banks and we need to privatize them into one bank. So like now there are, I think, total 12 public sector banks are there. So usually they are thinking that if we privatize, like if we combine or merge two banks and we will make one privatized bank, then it would be helpful. Now, like many things are coming into our mind that why like this privatization came, what is the help of it, and why government is doing all those things and all. So basically, like I just want to say that naturally when like there is a huge debt in the bank for suppose the when government is saying that we need to give this kind of capital to this particular bank and all. So by privatizing those banks like two public sector banks and all, the government can like even more focus, like the government want to be less involved in these activities and more focus on the infrastructure to build India properly, like befitting manner. And when there is a debt in any kind of a bank or we can say in any kind of privatized bank and all, then he means that particular share person or we can say that government can give the whatever the amount they want to fulfill that one, and rest all thing is only depending upon the political parties they are wanting. If they want, they can afford that much of money, they can fill the debt. So this is one of the advantage to the government also, even though, so that the government can even think the welfare of the people even though. So this is one thing. And yeah, by comparing the case study, I haven't like properly know the statistics, but I can say that those people who are taking the loan from the private bank, now we can see that their statistics are little bit increasing. I think they are getting more benefit while taking the loan from the private bank compared to the public bank. And the statistics related to this public bank is day by day decreasing. I think for 10% it is being decreased.
Now, do you know what is the reason for that? Do you know what is the reason why it is getting increased for private banks rather than on public sector banks?
No, sir, I
What
haven't got.
what could be the reason?
Okay, so
That yeah, that you have to analyze, because that is that one, that is what we are going to say in this discussion. Why
So,
we choose privatization? What is the point of it? Yeah, Kancha Srija, can you talk about it? If you have any
so,
valid point to
so
support it,
maybe we have some political issues in the public. If you take any public organizations, we will have many political issues interfering in between.
Hmm,
Whereas in private, the interference will be very less.
okay.
That may be one of the reason I feel.
Hmm. So anything else you want to talk on that?
No, so that was my
Okay.
point. Actually.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, ma. Thank you. Anybody else want to talk the benefits of privatization? Yes, you can.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
sir, I want to talk about the advantages and privatization, sir.
Yeah, please do that.
Like in if India moves towards the privatization, then the burden for the government will be decreased, sir.
Hmm.
And if there are many companies which are undertaken by private, means the in the market there will be a lot of competition, sir, so that all the private companies will only move towards getting more profit, which means that economy of the country will be grown, and the people will get a better labor force, sir. Like
Hmm.
many of them would get a good job, sir, and the involvement of the politics will be reduced, sir. Like if we take the if the government is running the industry, their goal will be only till the next election, sir. Like they'll be working for a long term goal only. But if it is a private company, means they'll be working on like a short goals, like or their main focus will be only on getting profits, sir.
Very good. So you think that private companies will not aim for profit?
No, sir, they will be aiming mainly only for the profit, sir.
Hmm.
So it will be an advantage for us also, sir. Like the consumers that are all the citizens, they will be profitable, sir.
Okay, very good. Yes. Any other extra point? So MD wants to add to the comment raised by
So
Rahul.
So,
even the economy will grow, sir. Like if the government is like the companies are handed over to private, means then government can collect the taxes from them, sir.
Very good.
It will
Yeah,
be a very good profit, sir.
that's a good point. Yes. Yes, Lasya, please.
So, I mean, if India or any other country moves towards privatization, I think private companies have better understanding of the working in the company,
Hmm.
as they have seen other I mean, companies working. Unlike governments, like in world, there are different types of government, maybe democratic or military based companies. So if everything is privatized, they know how a company works, how a manager is supposed to work. They can have a detailed workshop or brainstorming things session every now and then, unlike in government companies. So I think privatization is better than government based companies.
Good. You'll argue. We will argue. See, now I'm getting only the benefits, advantages of having privatization. Anybody wants to talk more on that? With it, we close on advantages of privatization. Any extra point you want to give on privatization? Anybody?
sir, also the incentives who are the people who are working in the private companies will get more incentives, which is not possible in public.
Okay. Yes. Anything else? She has raised one more point also. That is arguable one, but I come to that point later. Yeah, please. Anybody else? Okay. Now I invite people to talk about the cons, the disadvantages of privatization. Yes, anybody? Or if you have any, uh, yeah, Rahul.
Sir, I just have one point, sir.
Yeah.
She mentioned that all the private companies will be only focused on the profit, sir.
Yes.
What I think is all the companies will gain profit only if they fulfill the customer, sir. Like if someone is offering a new product, they're launching a new product, means the product must be good enough so that the customer can buy it. If the sales are high, only they can make the profit. So that
Yes.
all the product that they are making must fulfill the customer needs, sir. If the customer needs are fulfilled, if they are getting profit, means it's equalized, sir. There is no need of
So thing is that what she was mentioned was when two private companies occupied in two different regions with an understanding, the closed understanding, then who is going to be affected? The people in the region is going to be affected. This is happening everywhere because of privatization. The companies have some inner agenda. As Ragul and other Kancha Srija has also talked about the political influences by the government. Because Ragul, as you only said that earlier, right? If government is taking some departments, public sector units, what they will do is they have different political agenda, different political inclinations, and different favorisms, right? So they aim for votes. They aim for coming back to power again. So for that sake, they are doing some good business or bad business or doing any sort of favorism to any people. That is what this government is also doing, right? See, I just give a simple example. When Indian Railway was decided to go for privatization, only 5 companies came out. After that, the top one is Adani Port. You all know that. Adani Port was the top. He was proposed with a huge bid. And now the government is decided to go for what Adani Port because he was the highest bidder. Since he is the highest bidder, the government is going to give the Indian railway system to Adani Port. What are the possible repercussions of it? That we need to interrogate. That is what we have to look at. Who is going to suffer? The government is going to get the money back. This we called as what? Disinvestment policy. This is the objective of the government. The government cannot invest enormously on a particular department. If the department is undergoing a severe loss, the government will not go and invest much on it. So what's the alternate solution they have? The alternate solution is they should strategize the process and go for disinvestment policy. What is disinvestment policy? The government is not inducting people, employees. The government is not giving salary to the people because there is no employee that are inducted, and the government is not working on the department, and some private partners and private companies are doing the work. And from them, we taxed it enormously, 30%, 40%. The corporate tax is very heavy for them. So through that, the government is getting a revenue. That is a separate aspect. That's what we need to look at. What Sabrina is mentioning is that she was worrying about the concerns of the people, the discrimination that is being given for the people, how people have been treated. Suppose imagine that if Indian railway system was privatized, what would happen? What is the price rate? Who can travel? Forget about one point, the infrastructure will be increased, infrastructure will be developed a lot, and we can have a good and convenient travel. Yes, that's one part. But what about the pricing? What's the difficulties faced by the citizens of the country? What are the possible repercussions? That we need to analyze. So that is what I'm talking about. You only said that political influence will be there, but for private companies, there is a political influence there also, and you cannot know that two private partners can have a closed relationship. That is what very important. That we need. What's the major problem of it? Because there was no proper regulatory mechanism. If there is a proper regulatory mechanism put placed in this framework, then there will be no problem. There will be no iota of problem will occur in this case. That's what very important. So we should have a proper regulatory system in place, and somebody has to govern this framework. That's a point number 2. So anybody else want to talk about it? Yes, good point, Rahul. Anyhow, you have contradicted. I welcome it. Yes, anybody else?
Sir?
Yeah, please, Siddharth.
Yes, sir. So I had this point that, like a counterpoint, you can say. So we talked about the monopoly. Sabrina talked about the monopoly of Geo or like any other broadband companies. So we looked at the aspect of what they are doing when right now they are given so much preferences by the people. But what about if it were a public sector and we have already an option?
See,
We have
we have
BSNL.
BSNL. Yeah, we have
Yes,
BSNL.
but the condition is so pathetic that no one will ever choose it. So I mean, right now, all of us are surely connected by Jio or Airtel because they are providing a good service. So eventually, we prefer that we are having a good service over their cost price or whatever monopoly trend they are setting. So isn't that something where privatization basically overtakes government take?
Yes. See, the infrastructure will be developed, and there are so much of room for innovation if it is privatized. When two leading private companies are competing with one another, then there is a huge competitive market, and thereby there is a possible for innovation. That is what the government also believes. Right, Sabrina, you raised, please, you want to comment on the point? Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, why is BSNL in a bad state? We need to analyze that first. Uh, the people who are innovating in these private sector, private parties like Airtel or Jio are the same Indians who, uh, if the government would have held proper exams or proper job interviews, would have worked for BSNL. They are
Yes.
the same innovators, but the problem is that the government expects a lot from the people and not enough from themselves. We are expected to change and suddenly adjust to privatization, whereas they are not ready to change their policies. One of the so that is my
Yes, good,
rebuttal.
good. I taken your point. Yes, anybody else? Last year?
Yes, I mean, Siddharth spoke the point which I wanted to say. Like, for example, I'm using an Airtel, this thing. So, a few years back, I used to have BSNL, but how we explain the quantity and quality also matters. So, even if the prices are raising every year or every month, still we move with Airtel or Jio because of the quality they provide or the net service they provide, unlike BSNL. So,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Affordability
Like
is
many, yes, sir. I agree their prices are very high, but from past few years, I mean the era, we have seen everything is going online, and we needed a good network service, but only Jio and Airtel could provide it. Even Vodafone and Idea have collaborated. I mean, they have become one, and they're also trying for some good service, but still Jio and Airtel are leading, and even then people are affording only Airtel and Jio. So
yes, good. And Umesh is there. Umesh, what happened to Umesh? Did you want?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir,
Sir,
please. Mention.
actually, Umesh is in our Java class, sir.
Hmm.
So, actually, due to his ill health, sir, he is not attending the classes
Okay.
today, sir.
No problem.
So,
No. Yeah,
he
yeah.
actually told me, sir, to convey this with you, but I'm
No
very
problem.
sorry that I informed you very late, sir.
Okay, good. No problem. No problem.
Yeah, okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And
I would like to add,
Lakshmi Menon? Yeah,
yes, sir.
please.
So until now, we spoke all about the consumer side. Now let's speak about the employee side.
Very good.
Most
Yes.
of us would prefer to go for a public job. First thing is security, add-on benefits, and even though it's not about the pay, which we look into private sectors. For example, recently there was a news saying that oil companies would be turning to privatized companies. My father is working in an oil company, so Bharat Petroleum. So
Hmm.
my father, he himself was, not has satisfied for this change because there are so many benefits the company provide when it is under public sector. There is a pension, then you have your child
Public.
benefits,
Yes.
and even the employee himself has a lot of benefits. Then from other companies, you get bonuses like from Amazon, the gift cards, so many extra benefits which each and employee really wants for his family. At the end, the employer needs his family to be happy, even though there, it's not only about job. But in
It is
private
a job.
sector,
It's a job guaranteeness, right?
yes, sir. It is safe and secured. You need not worry much when you are in private. In private company, you always have to think on the pay grade you get, how much salary you get, how it's gonna adjust to your daily budget. So these questions actually prove that public sector is more preferable compared to privatization of the public sector.
Yeah. See, this is the point I really expected. This is the point, right? The pros and cons of privatization is decided based on this point only. And if you take this point raised by Lakshmi Menon, you can talk about pros and you can talk about cons. The advantages of privatization as well as the disadvantage of privatization can be decided. It's a deciding factor. What's the point raised by Lakshmi Menon? That was a deciding point, because if I talk about the pros of cons of privatization, this is the cons of privatization, because the employee has no guarantee. There is no safety in it. At any point of time, the employee can be sacked. Clear? There is a possibility. So the employee has to work in a fear in a private organization. Right? If it's not performed well or because of some external influences, he may be thrown out. But whereas if it is a public sector, what happens? Even if he is not performing well, even if he is not skillful, even if there is an external factor comes in to throw him out, to sack him, that's not possible that easy. Right? So now you can think how to scale the privatization. This point, there are many points we have to scale it. We can look at in different hindsight, right? So there are many vantage point we can have for this topic. But the important point is Lakshmi Menon point. Now I take this point further and I talk a little bit on that point. See, if it's a private company, what they always aim for is they always aim for qualified people. And people should be skillful for the particular job and role. If the skillfulness of the particular employee is getting depreciated or is not meet to the caliber of the particular position, then he will be thrown out. He or she will be thrown out. But what happened to public departments? Even if he is not skillful, even if he is not on par with the technological developments, he still retains in the company, in the organization, in the department. Result of that, the poor output. That is why when you talk about BSNL and Geo, how same spectrum, India is getting the same spectrum, 4G spectrum. It has been allocated to different stakeholders. But how Geo is giving a good connectivity, but BSNL is struggling to cope up with that. Where is it disturbance? You have to scale these both. That's the ultimate aim. This is what we need to look at, right? So when the government disinvestment policy is majorly on to attract more revenues, and every year the government is facing huge debt. The fiscal deficit is getting larger and larger every year. For that, the government cannot invest much on some public banks or public sector units. But if they go for privatization, thereby they can attract more revenue without much investment, and they can manage the economy of the country. On that aim only, the government is saying in just 5 years, the next 5 years, we can aim for 5 trillion economy. On what basis they are promising it? Because of these privatization policies, the public and privatization policies, right? So there are enormous topics we need to talk about. And one more important point is when the privatization topic was emerged out. That's one point you have to note down. And that's an important point you have to make a proper distinction. The discrimination is started in the year 1991, where the Soviet Union was completely collapsed. The Soviet Union is famous for socialism. When socialism concept, the idea of socialism was getting degraded and it was isolated entirely on European countries, the new strategy of framing a policy called what LPG came out. That is called what? Liberalization, privatization, and globalization came into picture. So that time, the ex-finance prime minister, that is P.V. Narasimha Rao, and the then finance minister Manmohan Singh proposed this logic: LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Right? So they decided to cope up with the fiscal deficit of the country. The solution is the disinvestment policy. That's the point. So thereby they introduce privatization in some of the public and some of the public sectors, right? So gases, some of the public sectors include Steel Authority of India, Gas Authority of India, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation, ONGC, Air India. You know about Air India. Recently, Tata has claimed for it, and Bell. These are the public sector units. Now, government has decided to go for privatization of these public sector units. This is very, very important. And by means of privatization, In last year alone, the last 3 years alone, the last year estimate says that 1.75 lakh crores of revenues has been attracted only by privatization of these public sector units. Look at the scale. Without much investment, by getting taxes from these corporate agencies, the government has earned almost 1.75 lakh crores. It's a huge number. What the government can do to meet the challenges of the company for the economy, they have to go for different disinvestment policies, right? So that is very important. What are the points raised by Sabrina, Kanchasrija, Rahul, Laslia, Akansha, and Lakshmi Menon? Yes, these are all valid points. But thing is that we need to look at, and we go for one more class on this discussion on privatization because there are so many things to discuss about. Lakshmi Menon has given a valid point, a valid argument. She has put on this forum that employees retention is an important point that we have to consider for retaining in public sector units. So we will go for some other day. I will continue the topic on some other day. If anybody wants to talk anything else on this topic, yes, you can go for now. Otherwise, we can continue on something else some day on some other day. Anybody wants to
Sir, I
comment?
want
Yes.
So
to
I
Sir, I
Siddharth,
wanted to talk about this employee perspective. So I think the point was valid, but
yes.
again, sir, we are not thinking of any situation for a room of improvement. So on all these sectors like NTPC, sale, the people are in this constant cycle of getting a job and doing their work, getting their pension finished. But basically, they are not leaving any place for competition or for any further
Yes, that's
development.
what I'm saying. The competition in the market is lost because of this problem. Employee skillfulness is an important problem. If it's a private agency, if it's a private company, or if it's a private institute, then the skillfulness, eligibility criteria, the manner in which they work in the department is highly improved. But whereas in the public department, there is a lag in it. Right? That's what we have been talking about. Even though the employee is not on par the technological improvement, how can he going for how can he give room for any suggestions on the improvement of the department? How there will be innovation in the department? There's a point. But when Lakshmi Menon worried about retention of the employee, yes, it's a valid worry. But what happened to the development? What happened to the innovation? If there is a development, if there is an innovation, then only we can attract the customers. Ultimately, that will give you a revenue to the economy. That is what we need to worry about. Like that, there are many worries. She raised the important point to talk on employee side. Like that, I have many points to talk about. That is what I asked to go for a complete study of this topic. Right? It's a huge topic. It's an enormous topic. We can go for many discussions, and I look for more discussion like this in this class. Right? So I appreciate the time is getting up. It's almost 40 minutes and more. So you have to go for some other class. Anybody wants to talk something else?
so
Give
I
you.
have one more
Sir,
point.
hello.
Yeah, please, sir.
Hello.
Please, somebody else. Wait a minute. Lastly, you wait a minute. I'll come for some.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll come sometime
Sir,
later. Please, yeah, please.
actually, I'm talking about the problem of the price. If take the example of Lucknow Airport,
Hmm.
which was handed to Adani.
Hmm.
In recent time, Adani Airport increased the charges of the parking for the private jet and the international planes 10 times. Was the price with the currently government having? He increased 10 times. So the ultimately the price paid by the consumer, as a consumer are haven't aware about that the price aware by the uh, ports Adani airports on the airlines. So ultimately they don't know the price is raised by them. So the airline company will take the money from the consumer to avail. And one more point which was told by Akansha that government is planning to merge to public bank, but they are planning to merge to public bank because they haven't have much about debt, so they can take the loan from the bank. There is
Yes,
some
yes. Yeah.
specific amount, so they can take loan from them, so they are planning to merge them. And private bank have failed majorly in last two in some years. If you take the example of Yes Bank and Lakshmi Vilas Bank, which have failed very badly. And in contrast to the public bank, they just not failed like this, and which is very costly for
We have
the
many such
household saving.
cases, sir. There are many private banks have lost their positions. We have many such
Yes, sir.
cases, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah, good point you laid out. Yes. Okay, time is also getting up, and we will go for some other discussion on some day. And with this, I stop today's recording. And I appreciate that you participated largely in this topic, and I expect the same in some other discussion also.